Good morning. My name is Suzanne McAllister. I'm a retired psychologist, and I'm here with my friend, mentor, advisor, author, elder, Eunice Schatz. And I believe this is our 7th conversation. It is December 13th, which happens to be the birthday of Eunice's niece, which she thought was a really special day to be doing this. And we're going to do a little something different today. And Eunice is trusting me in this, which I appreciate. I got a Christmas letter a few days ago from a wonderful woman who served in some ways in a similar role that Eunice did to me, which is that she was a counselor, spiritual advisor. Mimi is a retired nun. She lives in Baltimore now and has been for the last 14 years. But when I came to Philadelphia, she was living in Philadelphia, and that's when we got to know each other. She wrote a letter that I thought would resonate with Eunice. And so Eunice is hearing this for the first time. But before we even started this, and I asked Eunice if this was okay, and I told her that this woman's name was Mimi. And of course, Eunice immediately picked up and said, yes, and I'm Eunice. And I love how Eunice plays with sounds. So this is from Mimi. I'm not reading the whole letter, but part of it. My deepest thanks for all your loving concern. I could feel all your prayers, cards, calls, and visits. They healed me. I truly am a walking miracle. I fell and still feel surrounded by God's love and all your love. In the end, I feel life is all about love. I have realized that aging is all about letting go. Mimi turned 86 in September, and I have loved being old for some time now. Talking to God, I asked, what is the meaning of my fall? What should I let go of now? And heard, the car. When I hear my inner voice, I obey. Even though my eye surgery at Hopkins completely restored my vision and I love driving, she gave up driving. So I could go on. She talks about how grateful she is to be living in a place called Basilica Place in Baltimore, which is a Catholic Charities senior living high-rise apartment. And she said, I'm a city girl at heart, and I'm now getting to know my Uber drivers, and so life goes on. And I was just interested, Eunice, what you took from that, from what Mimi had to say.
Well, of course, the car was one of the first things I had to give up when I moved out of my regular house into assisted living. But, and I think Mimi will understand this, I was at the car dealer and a man came in, where I get my car fixed, it was there. And a man came in and said he was looking for a car to buy for a friend of his in Maine, who is an old person, but who still lives in the country and needs transportation for certain things. And he was going to give it to her. And so he was looking for a car that was old that he could get for a certain price, and the price, the parenthesis of the price between this and this was exactly what we thought was right. We're sitting there and the guy who fixes our car says, oh, I can verify of how it's been cared for and what you'd have to expect would go wrong with it.
Yes, yes,
And so that's how it went. And so we gave up the car so that somebody else who needs it more could have it. And we were thankful that there's Lyft and Uber and
yes.
things
Well,
like that.
I thought I saw you chuckle when she said, I have realized that aging is all about letting go, and I have loved being old for some time now. You don't hear that very much from people, at least I don't in my age group. I hear people kind of grumbling about getting old. So when I hear somebody who fell and had a very serious fall at age 86, who is saying, I really love being old. And to me, that is an unusual response. And yet I thought, well, I was interested to hear your thoughts about that, about your aging.
You think I'm smarter than I am. I didn't know what old meant. I was still working actively at the age of 90.
Yes.
I didn't know what it meant. And the other thing, I love to drive. In that, I related to that in her right now. I absolutely love on the open highway, Don would drive because that's, you just go and for miles and it's boring. He loved that.
Yes.
And then we get to into the up and down and out and this and that. And I love that. Finding my way, another way to go that's faster or more aesthetic or something like that.
Yes.
And so,
yes.
yeah, I love the city and I love, yeah.
Yes.
I think we have a lot in common. And the fact that she's attending to herself, to the me in the me is exactly what you do in old age. You figure out who you are, who you have become.
Yes.
And the path is so that endlessly fascinating. It's like a book, That's why people write books about their life stories. They're interesting. I think my roommate is crowing a little bit. Sorry.
I hear that. That's, you know what? It's all part of this. We don't have any control over that, right?
Right. There's a lot. You give up control. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. But anyway, so I just thought there seemed to me to be a compatibility between what I'm hearing from Mimi and what I've heard from you over the years. And I understand that you didn't retire as early as she did, which she was in her 70s, I think, when she retired, and you didn't retire until you were in your 90s. So quite different there. But what I've heard from you over the months is the giving up of control when you have no choice, really, and accepting that. And that's what I heard from her. When I hear my inner voice, I obey. When she heard the inner
It's
voice.
interesting that you have focused on this series with me because people who are approaching that last stage of life, which may be longer than they expect. And so and the interesting thing at Life Work Direction, which you know very intimately because that's where we met.
Yes.
They are finding people are returning at that stage because they recognize we're living longer and there's a whole meaning in that last quarter of life, you might say 70 on.
Yes, exactly.
And they want to view that as the way Mimi apparently views it, as wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it doesn't feel wonderful at first, especially if you start losing something.
Yes. In
like
other words,
mobility.
Yes, when you lost your mobility with your stroke.
That was everything, yeah.
Yes, yes. And so that,
Some of us need a sharper division than others. With others, it's gradual and they don't notice it as much. And so we need to be tender and realize, it's step by step.
yeah, yeah.
But some of us are hard-headed and we needed to be hit.
Are you putting yourself in that category?
What?
Are you putting yourself in that category of being, you needed to be hit?
Yes, I think so. I think it had to do with my comparative quickness to take control of my life and make something out of it positive. That's my gift.
Yeah.
It's my hazard.
Which so often is
because
the
I
case,
moved too
right?
quickly to think that I want to be who I was. I'm not anymore. I'm someone else, but I'm still contained all of that. And finding that and what the roots of it are was what we talked about. I thought, well, maybe it's significant that I was born exactly 1 month after the stock market crashed. October 1929,
Okay.
America went crazy.
I know.
And
Yes.
then I arrived.
In November of 29. Yeah.
And my dad had to get another job. He
Yeah.
was getting paid $50 a week.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wanted to
He
say
had to go to a place that could support him.
Yeah, I want to make a comment about what you were saying about some people, there's a gradual shift. And for you, it was something dramatic with the stroke. And I have to tell you that pretty much on a daily basis, I remind myself of how fortunate I am that I am able to do what I'm able to do and that it could be taken away in an instant. So somebody like you and what you've been asked to accept and others that I've read about or heard about helped me to not take it for granted and to prepare the
Can I hear
I
you
can.
better? I don't know how to hear you better.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know how to raise the volume.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We are just
what are you
about,
speaking into?
I'm speaking into a microphone, but we are just about out of time. So I think we're gonna have to
Okay.
leave it at where we are, which was basically my just saying that
That's okay.
your acceptance of what has happened to you is helping me as I anticipate what could happen to me. That's really all I was trying to say. But I thank you, Eunice, for being available again today and seeing you and being somewhat color coordinated, which I love, as you know. Bye-bye.